Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today I should be out working because it got nice weather, but I bumped my knee or something, so I'm not able to go out and walk really good right at the moment. So I'm going to be talking about projects. So anyway, one of the boys has been out digging through my vast pile of garbaggio in the shop there, and he's moving some stuff, and this fell out. This is a saw I forgot I even had. I've had it for a really long time, but it didn't run, had a few problems with it, so I just stuck it away and completely forgot about it. And what it is, it's a McCulloch Pro Mac 510. I'll get my notes here. It's 37.7 cc or 2.3 cubic inches. The power head is 10 pounds. And got a 16-inch bar. And I think it's based on a Mini Mac, but it's a fair amount different. The carburetor's mounted a little bit different, and the handle is totally different. And just got a lot of unusual features that, like I say, is based on a Mini Mac. Like my Mini Mac 35, it has the overriding oiler, manual oiler plus automatic, and the fuel and oil caps are right on top of the reservoir. But the things that I needed is the ignition coil is bad on it, and the fuel system, I couldn't get any gas through it. These things have a weird, it's just a piece of felt basically. It goes in the bottom of the tank, and there's a plastic fitting that goes over this, so it's a wick feed. And it's been a long time since I had one of these minis apart, and I'd kind of forgotten about that. It was plugged up, and so I put in my magic elixir, and it's starting to eat the varnish out of it, so another day or two it should be fine. That way I won't have to tear the thing completely apart. But these are a real pain in the you-know-what to fix. But you know what I've done over the years, since McCullochs have been my main saws, I just buy parts here and there when I could snatch them up cheap and stuff. And I actually had a brand new old stock coil, and so we did a video a while back, and we were talking about how to test coils. So this is a really good example here. So you want to put it on a 20,000 ohms, so this one covers all different ones. So this is just a real premium. I've had this for years and years. It's a Phillips, not a Fluke. It's made by Phillips. But anyway, to test a coil, you have to test the continuity through the plug wire, and then where the wire comes, if it has points, goes to this or the kill switch, and it has a ground wire here. So on this one, it's completely shot. Put it on both of these, and it reads absolutely as 0. And you can get a little bit through here, but pretty much it's no good. 0 thousandths ohms. So here's our new one. Get a ground on it here. That shows good. That shows good. So that's the difference between a bad coil and a good one. A lot of people asked about it in the last video I had. Weren't quite sure. So anyway, one thing on this saw though, usually what I do whenever I get one, I always like to have a manual, and I had this in my parts books, and I thought, I wonder why I have that in there since I don't have one, but I really didn't, forgot. Bad me. Here's a picture of all the models. It shows it right here. They were made from 1977 till 1982. Didn't really have a lot of use on it. You know, the bar here doesn't have any wear on the bottom, and chain really doesn't rock on it, just normal. So quit fairly early, because I've never had a McCulloch that was running when I got it has ever had a coil failure, but apparently this one has some glitch. So anyway, we'll be back with some more BS. Well, our next project saw, I've got it all torn apart, waiting for a few parts, but this is a saw I've been looking for years, and there's several versions of it, but it's a 82cc McCulloch, because it had a Pro Mac 700, and then the next displacement up is way up, 93 or 97 cc. But this is a small chassis. The other saws are the big chassis. And the thing that's really unusual about this is basically a 1010, which is started out as a 54cc saw. They made it in the Pro Mac 700, which is 70cc. And on this one, like I say, is the same basic saw, but what they did, they went to a anti-vibe. This is the first saw like this I've ever seen from McCulloch in a smaller chassis. There's a rubber mount right here. There's one under here. But the thing that was interesting on this saw, we went over to visit a friend of my buddy, Mr. C, and he's a saw collector, and we talked saws with him for quite a while and whatnot, and we're getting ready to leave. He said, "Oh, you got to take a saw with you." And so I'd been looking at this one, and so I nabbed it. There's no bar or anything with it, but it was a commercial saw. It's got a full wrap on it and whatnot. But the thing that was the failure on this is a really weird one. If you look at the side cover, you see there's no shield in here. So a piece of wood got in there, ripped all the cooling fins off the flywheel, so it got parked. That was probably quite some time ago. Otherwise this saw would have been used up, because it was being used in commercial service. And I found a nice brand new old stock flywheel for it. Here's the other anti-vibe mount, and I found this cover, which is off a Pro Mac 800, same 82cc saw. And this is just a junker part saw I had laying around. Bore on it's completely shot. It's all ground cut up and terrible, but still turns over and has spark, no compression. But anyway, it was nice that I had the pieces. And then the other thing that's unusual on this saw is the clutch. It's only used on the Super Pro 80, and then the 81 and later used the common 2-shoe saw. This one has 3. But here's all the bits and pieces for it. There's the side cover, and so anyway, I got a few parts coming for this, but these have run up. A lot of guys that use these ran them with a 32-inch bar. So once I get it running and I'm happy with it, I found a 32-inch new old stock bar I think I'll buy for it and put on it. But anyway, be right back. Well, this saw here I got May 24th of last 22. And Mr. C came over and dumped off a bunch of saws. So you can go back and watch our older video called Old Chainsaws. One man's junk is someone else's better junk. And so there were 2 of these saws in there. The other one didn't have the full wrap on it like this one, and the muffler guard like this, or just a single wrap. But the thing that was interesting, Mr. C showed up today. He'd been cleaning out his granddad's place and whatnot, and he found the receipt of when the saw was sold. Now this saw isn't the one that I'm going to be talking about, but same saw but just with a single wrap. So they purchased it in 2/13 of 76. It's a super easy automatic. It's a 40cc, like I say 76. But it had all the stuff with it. There's the original owner's manual. There's the warranty sheet, a little notepad that came with it, sales receipt. And this is kind of an interesting piece here. It's on the chain, on how to maintain your chain. So this all folds out here like that. So it's really nice to find original literature with stuff. And yeah, it's just amazing. You know, like I say, this was from a couple of years ago, and Mr. C, being a good soul he is, was always thinking about other people. I thought, well, I bet Mr. Obsolete needs this junk, so he came over today and dropped it off, and he was 100% correct. So the other thing that came with it is the original case. And the thing that's kind of interesting about this, you know, this saw will not fit in it with the full wrap bar, but the single wrap will fit right in it. But this thing is really flimsy. Well, a while back, Mr. Randy, another friend of mine, gave me this Homelite here. And it's a Model 240, which I've had in a couple of videos. And it's a really cheesy plastic saw. But the amazing thing is that this case is really robust. How flimsy this is. What were they thinking? Well, our next project is our Brenner lawnmower here. And this one is probably mid-50s. I can't date it exactly, but has a Clinton 2 horsepower engine, 2-stroke, Panther engine they call it. And so far I've got the ignition working perfect, and I've got the carb redone, and I'm de-rusting the fuel tank, and I'm using Evaporust. I've never used that stuff before. I used to always use muriatic acid, but it's really a nasty stuff, and so we'll see if that's Evaporust lives up to its BS. But it's interesting how you've run into stuff, you know, like you can see I got a new old stock air cleaner on here. And when a long time ago, there was a small engine shop a block away from our shop, and they sold Briggs and Tecumseh and Kohler. And one time we're a big Clinton dealer. Well, Clinton went out of business in '82, and they still had a pretty good stock of parts. And I had picked up all the manuals from the beginning to end, and all the engines and all the equipment they sold, outboard motors and all the chainsaws, everything that they sold. And so when I pick up an old piece of junk and missing something or needed some new pieces, I just look them up, go down there and hand them a list. And the thing that was interesting with Clinton, although they basically quit making engines in 1982, they kept making engine parts for many years after that. And the thing was down to about 3 or 4 employees, but you know, there was still a market for the Clinton parts because they were the second largest selling small gas engines in the world, not just the US. They sold a big bunch of this stuff in Europe and all over. But anyway, so I was able to get parts way past 1982. So anyway, they decided to close down, and they called me up and said, hey, you're the only guy I've been buying Clinton parts for the last 3 or 4 years. Why don't you come down and make me an offer? So I went down and looked, and you know, a lot of the fast moving parts were gone, like air filters and things like that, but there was a lot of good stuff in there, and I hemmed and hawed, so they just finally, here, just give me $50 and get all this junk out of here, which I gladly did. And you know, at the shop we would work on just about anything, and so if people came in with a Clinton and say, hey, I can't get anybody to work on this or no parts, I rebuilt lots of motors and repaired them for years after that because I had all those parts, and still have some left, but not all the good stuff like you need. But anyway, you know, stuff like this is, you know, if you buy it on eBay, you pay a premium price for it. Plus it gives me time to go dumpster diving in all my good junk, which is lots of good fun. So anyway, this mower is, even though it's a, you basically call it an economy mower because it has a steel deck, it has these ridges built into it, and reinforcements so that they wouldn't crack. That was good engineering. And then, you know, it has a hand throttle on it, which most the cheapo motors didn't have. And like I say, it was made by the Brenner company, and I can't find any information on them other than one time I was looking through a book on antique toys. And prior to World War II, one of the main things they made was little pressed tin toy cars and trucks like this. This isn't that brand, but they all look the same no matter who made these things. So anyway, that was just kind of an interesting thing. And yeah, it's funny on lawnmowers. You know, I like to mow the lawn with vintage lawnmowers, and a couple of years before my dad passed away, he bought a great big expensive Toro mulching mower, self-propelled and all the features on it. It was amazing, even though it was really, really expensive, and how cheaply built it was. The drive gearbox is made out of plastic, and the bearings are open, no seals on them. They'd frozen all up, and so I rebuilt it for him, and he only used it 3 or 4 times after that. But so we inherited it, and I despise that piece of crap. I can't stand using modern stuff. It's against my religion. So anyway, I make the boys use it. But you know, the thing that amazes me though, like on it, it uses a premium Kohler engine, but there's no drain plug for changing the oil. You have to get a suction gun and draw it out, which is really stupid, especially for a top of the line mower. But anyway, vintage is best for me. And we'll see you on the next exciting vintage video.